my name is Grainne Casey. I'm a freshman at Northeastern University, and I'm going to talk to you today about recursion. So a recursive function is a function that calls itself in its body. So here's an example of a recursive function. T of n is equal to 1 plus t of n minus 1. So what a recursive function does is it breaks up our big problem into a series of smaller problems until we reach one smallest problem where we know the answer. That smallest problem is called a termination point. So an example termination point for this function would be t of 1 is equal to 1. So then what this function will do is it will go through t of n minus 1 until t of n minus 1 is equal to 1, where we know the answer will be 1, and then it can substitute that value in until we get back up to the top of t of n. So let's see how that works. So say we're trying to find t of 4. So that's our biggest problem on the bottom here, when n equals 4. So then we look at our function and say, okay, so t of 4 is equal to 1 plus t of 4 minus 1, which is equal to t of 3. So we don't know what t of 3 is, so we build up and have another slightly smaller problem. So n equals 3. So then if we look for n equals 3, we find that we need to find n equals 2 first, or t of 2. So then we make another smaller problem, n equals 2. And then from there we see t of 2 is equal to 1 plus t of 1. And that we know the answer to. So our smallest problem up top will be n equals 1. So from there we know that t of 1 equals equal to 1. So we know the answer to this top problem is 1. Then if we substitute that in for t of 2, we know that that's 1 plus 1, so that's 2. For n equals 3, that's 1 plus 2, which is 3. And for n equals 4, that's 1 plus 3, which is equal to 4. So then one problem you might run into with a recursive function is what if you don't have a termination point? So if you don't have a termination point, you'll run into a problem called an infinite loop, because the function will run infinitely because it never knows when to stop. So you'll just keep making smaller problems that never stop, and then you won't be able to find the answer to any of them. So just to review, a recursive function is a function that calls itself in the body. So the way that works is it breaks up its problem into a series of smaller problems until you reach the termination point, or the smallest problem where you know the answer to, and then you can substitute that in to find the problems all the way down. If you don't have a termination point, you run into an infinite loop problem where the function never knows when to stop running. Thank you for watching. Please like or comment if you have any questions. Thanks.